Hey everyone, how's it going? For another episode of the Agent Spotlight. And on this episode, I've got a very special guest, Brandt Broussard. So, Brandt, actually, you are a part-time agent looking to go full-time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good time to discuss how things have gone for you. Let's tell everyone about who you are, what you do, and everything else in between.
Yep. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My background is baseball. I played baseball my whole life.
Hmm.
How I got into life insurance was I was playing professional baseball, and when you're in the minor leagues, they don't pay you very well. So I was looking for something to do during the day. Our games
Yep.
were only at night, so that could make some extra income. I was getting married, and we have two kids. So I stumbled upon an ad from Symmetry and was ended up being brought on by Symmetry Financial Group. And then, at the end of last year, I decided to stop playing baseball, and I have another job that's sales more in the industrial world, which is
Hmm.
scary right now with the things going on in the economy.
Yep.
But so at the beginning of the year, I kind of dove more into life insurance part time than I was doing with the baseball and kind of sat on it for a while. Uh,
Hmm.
but being part time and having this other job, it was really important to me that I was maximizing I didn't have a ton of time to work 100 leads a week. So it was important that I was getting a quality lead that really allowed me to maximize my time and investment and just not have to work crazy hours. Uh,
Yep. No, understand that. That's
yeah.
brilliant. So, thanks for that intro. Very, very helpful. It's quite an interesting transition going from a pro sports player to its sales or more specific life insurance. But what you say makes a ton of sense. Now, you touched upon something that I think is actually really important, which is the quality of the lead and maximizing your time. One of the things that we probably should know is what made you transition or want to transition to full time? Have you hit a certain income goal or have you found a consistency that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people when they get on that it's scary to do it full time because there's no guaranteed income. So that's
Right.
kind of where I was at was I didn't want to switch into this and not be able to
Hmm.
make an income for me and my family to live off of.
Hmm.
So stumbled across Razor Ridge. After talking with you, we kind of put together a plan of like 11 leads a week. And before that, I think my biggest month was maybe 1,000 APV. And then my first month, September, of getting in those 11 a week, I did like almost 10,500 APV on just
Amazing.
11 a week. So I was, that allowed me to feel comfortable to be like, okay, this is something you can do full time and feel safe that, the income will be there.
You were doing that part time. So
I
how
was.
would it work? Would you get the leads in the morning? Would you just do stuff in the evening after you're doing your full
Yeah.
time role?
Yeah. So I have access to the computer and can text during the day and things like that.
Hmm.
So if they're wanting me to call them during the day or something, I would just say I have appointments and it kind of made me seem more busy anyway.
Yeah.
So I was calling them in the evening, but I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. I stopped even like calling leads at all. I had some numbers. So like my last 15 leads, the first batch of 15, 10 of them booked an appointment without me ever dialing them, and then the second batch of 15 was nine. So I had 19
Wow.
out of 30 set appointments
Wow.
that I never called. So I really wasn't getting on the phones much. Um,
Wow.
so
That's
I would
amazing.
text them back through the day, set the appointment for that evening, and once I got off my other job, run those appointments.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So had you worked before Razor Ridge? Had you been in other lead programs before? And
Um,
how did that work?
the only leads I had worked were Symmetry's generated leads,
Okay.
which compared to other things out there are still a better lead than you'll probably see elsewhere.
Hmm.
But I just wasn't. extremely happy with, a lot of the responses I was getting when I would talk to people, and just like the amount of leads I was having to work to hit the volumes I wanted.
Oh, what a great, great story. I'd absolutely love that actually. And I think one of the best things about what you're saying is it's not necessarily because a lot of people talk about getting a pipeline, and a lot of people on this podcast will talk about keep your pipeline full, keep yourself busy. But obviously, if you're part time, it's quite difficult to do that when you haven't got the time to actually manage that pipeline.
Yeah,
And so, having the highest quality lead possible is by far the most important thing because then you're using your time smarter.
yeah,
And then once you hit your income goal, which is the consistency of, hitting a 5K, hitting a 10K in the last couple months, then you have the confidence to say, wait, if I do this full time, what's
yeah,
that going to look like, right? So
totally.
I guess the next question is, before we go into like your process of how you manage to book all those appointments, like what are your goals or what are you trying to achieve now that you're going to be taking this full time?
Yeah, so recently, I want to build an agency through Symmetry. So I've been
Hmm.
kind of working on the leadership development, but recruiting, just like, with producing, there's an investment to that. So, I wanted
Yep.
to make sure I was making enough income to handle my family, all our expenses first,
Yep.
and then be able to cover that recruiting investment as well, so that I'm not coming out of pocket for that. Um,
Perfect.
yeah.
So is there like a specific number that you're looking to point? And then have you back sold roughly how many leads that you'll need to generate that number?
Yeah, so I would think about 15,000 APV on my own pen would be, kind of the sweet spot to keep some time for recruiting and running those interviews and things like that. And there's a formula that Symmetry gives you when you're building to kind of backlog that. So that's kind of number I hit, which, with 11, I probably, 20 would be very safe, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, as I build my team, I plan to implement them onto Razor Ridge as well. So, let them take over. And then eventually with Symmetry, you hit agency owner at 50,000 production
Hmm.
with you and your team. So that's the ultimate goal is to hit that mark. And then, you own your business.
That's perfect. I love that. And it's great that in such a short period of time you've managed to hit those numbers. I'm very, very happy with how things are going on that side. So
Yeah.
let's talk and move the conversation into more about your process because clearly the contact rate is impressively high. Also, the booking rate is impressively high as well. And a lot of it is done via texting. You're not even
Yeah.
calling everyone. So, what's your process? Do you have a standardized way of reaching out to people? It'll be good for people to just understand how you're making these leads work for you in that way.
Yeah. So for me, most of them are responding so that their text comes in and the CRM or the lead comes in and the CRM hits them right away with, the text, this is your dedicated agent. And
Hmm.
most of them, over half easily, are responding to that one. And now some of them are saying, text is fine. And so then I'll
Yeah.
text a little bit. And some of them are saying they'd rather a call. So we're just booking the call from right there. And then I'll do a one call close with them once I get them on the phone. Um,
That
but
was my next
I keep it
question about the
very
close.
minimal. If they do want to text, my goal with the text is to get them onto the phone. So I'm just going to ask them, I'm going to say, okay, first thing is to confirm your state, which I have is Texas, and your age, which I have is 42. Are both of those correct? And they say
Hmm.
yes. And then I have a text. This was a Symmetry text. Ask them, any health conditions like they
Yeah.
have a scripted one that I do, like it puts in parentheses, high blood pressure, diabetes, things like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the last one is just height and weight and roughly, and they give me that. And then I send them, it's a Razor text that says, I'm going to start working on this for you. I'll let you know when the options are ready.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll give it like an hour or so and then text them, say, hey, got your options back. You have a few great options. I have this time or this time. I can give you a call to go over them. And that's been it every time.
Perfect. And you don't talk about pricing on the text at all. You always say we can discuss that on the phone.
Yeah, I actually haven't had someone even ask. But if they do, the Razor has a text port that says, state. I wish I could, but the state doesn't allow that.
Yeah. Do you know
Yeah,
what? That's great because one of the things, and I guess this is coming from my perspective, one of the things that we do within all our marketing is we never talk about how much, we never talk about price, because ultimately what we've learned over the years that I've done lead gen, as soon as you put a number in your ad, so let's say you may qualify up to $500,000, someone who is 75 might see that ad, think they can qualify for half a million
yeah,
dollars. Obviously, they could, but they cost them a pretty penny potentially.
yeah,
Yeah, so and then they get anchored on that number. So by not giving any numbers whatsoever, it opens up the conversation for you to actually have a real conversation, which is firstly, where are you in life and what can you potentially afford to cover where you are in life? And I think it's good to hear from your perspective and on your side, what we're doing on the marketing side is flowing down correctly for you
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I want to point out is, I think most people that are familiar with Razor know about the process of kicking out the people with unemployment and um,
Yeah.
maybe on disability income. So you're not getting those leads for sure. But I'm not
Hmm.
getting the things of, like you said, someone saying I saw I could get $1 million for 19 bucks a month. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting someone that thought when they were misled on what the ad was, and they thought they were getting a quote by submitting this online, and they know someone's going to be reaching out to them.
Yep.
They're expecting it, and I've actually some of these leads have called me before I even knew I had a lead
Yep.
when
Yep.
they think
That's
good.
all.
So
It's all working. It's all working. But that's it. That's how it's, and you talked about quality at the start. That's how you build a quality lead. It's by you setting the right expectations from the get-go. So our ads, our landing pages, our process all say the same thing, which is one, you're going to speak to an agent. It's not going to quote, they're not going to quote you. You're going
yeah,
to speak to an agent and they're going to figure out what the best solution is for you. They will search as many carriers as they need to find that answer. When they become a lead, they also have your name on that page, and in some instances, your phone number too, so they can just call you. And like you're saying, some people just call you, which
yeah,
is cool
yeah.
because they're ready. You know,
The,
these
the
guys are
first
prime. They're like,
the
I
first
want
lead
it.
I ever got through Razor Ridge called me, and I kind of blew it because I answered, and he's like talking, and I'm like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "What?" It's like he's like, "You texted me." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. It's good to, it really is really good to hear that this is working out. And I think again, as we just talk about the quality angle, this is what we've been trying to strive for. And I think it's important people do know that even if you're doing this part time, your ability to generate the income that you need is still there as long as you are very like diligent with your time. So obviously you're still working ish
Yeah,
during the day. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's not like you're not doing anything. You're still following up with people, building the pipeline for you to then close later in the evening. And that's really it. I think it's a great process that you've had. It's effective, right? And it's effective and it works. And that's what I love to hear. Out of interest, what states are you in?
I've got Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North
Hmm.
Carolina. And then I had
Yeah.
New Mexico, but I wasn't having success with New Mexico, so I took it off the list.
Fair. Yeah, but that's another thing as well. You've got a very strong mix of states within different geos within America. I know it's like southern belt-ish,
Yeah,
but you're still got a good number, and I think that's important as you are growing your agency. Also understanding which one of those states or collection of those states provides you the best return,
yeah,
because as you evolve and want to become smart with how you spend your money, these are the conversations that we'll be having, which is, okay, you've
yeah,
just, you've done a great month. Where have all your leads come from? Or your sales come from? Florida or Pennsylvania
yeah,
or Maryland or whatever. Okay, cool. I think we know where we need to put you. And I think
yeah,
that's as as we evolve and as you evolve, that's where we'll end up. So
yeah. And I kind of
yeah,
chose those around just researching states with strong middle class and strong family centric values. Is
Hmm.
kind of how I picked the states I started with. Because obviously too high income, they don't need life insurance, and then too
Yeah.
low income, you can't help them get anything in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a smart way of doing it. I never thought about doing it like that, where you're almost choosing states based on the average median household and their ability for one to have like that family values connected.
yeah.
That's a very, very, very good way to pick your states. That is awesome.
When I first started with Symmetry, I was only working Louisiana, and my upline had called me and was like, "Dude, you're gonna have to add a few." So I wanted to be smart about which ones I spent money on getting my
Yep.
non-resident license. So that's kind of how I decided to go with it.
That's a great nugget. Anyone who's watching this,
Yeah,
just do the same thing because it makes sense, right?
yeah,
This data driven, there's a very clear system of why that makes sense. So that's amazing. Um, and before we leave, do you have any words of wisdom for people who are just starting out on their journey or are in a similar position to you where they're part-time, hoping that this becomes their full-time gig?
yeah. I mean, to me, that investment is scary when you do it because, like we kind of touched on earlier, there's no guarantee of income.
Hmm.
Um, but I would just say, spending a money on a quality lead is as quality as this is gonna be night and day for you and your business. It's gonna save you a ton of time, save you a bunch of frustration for sure. And whatever your situation is, whatever your goal is, you can maximize it and keep your time because a lot of people they talk about this business is time freedom and money freedom, but is it really
Hmm.
time freedom if you're having to do 100 leads a week, which I would say no.
Definitely not.
Yeah, do what you need to do at the beginning to, if you're not if you need to save up the money for the investment, but my thing would be don't be afraid to invest in whatever you can afford to start because you'll be happy with it.
Perfect. That's great advice. And you're right. I think investment in the right type of lead is important. And I think we've got good leads here. People tell us we do, and that's what I go by. So I do know that our process is very clear and it's very sound. And as long as you understand the process of how we do what we do, then it's up to you to make a decision if that's the stuff that you want to work with or not. And
Yeah.
I think most people do, which is
Yeah,
great.
we'll say I've never even seen one of the ads, but just from what the conversations I'm having and what they're saying to me, they must be good. So,
Well, yeah, I
yeah.
could show you that. I've got no qualms showing you. It's nice to hear that even without knowing what the ads are saying, that you're having great conversations. Well, thank you so much for your time, Brent. Do appreciate it. And everyone else for watching this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And anyone else who's looking to go full time, this is something that you can do with just a high quality lead source. So do take the time to invest in something that works to maximize your time and effort, which this does. So thank you all for your time and look forward to the next episode.